Hi there, my name is Stacey Thompson and I am the founder of the Performance Club. I'm doing this video today because it's National Suicide Awareness Day tomorrow, or today if you're listening to it today. And I wanted to talk a little bit around suicide, a topic which is obviously very uncomfortable for a lot of people and something which some people often struggle to have a dialogue around. In addition, it was just last week that we saw in the press that suicide figures had actually gone up. According to the National Statistics Office, I'm going to read this off so I don't get it wrong, but they said that the suicide rates had gone up 11.8% on the previous year. Now, whilst that could be quite shocking to a lot of people, especially because of what we've been doing in this space, what we have to consider is that there might be a number of things responsible for that figure going up. One, of course, that the world is struggling more. I think the world is struggling to tolerate some of the normal human condition. And when we feel emotions, they're very difficult to tolerate. And that's because of a lot of things, the way we're living in today's world, the way consumerism is changing our mindset, the way our phones is changing our mindset, constantly wanting to have our emotions removed from us because we can't tolerate them quite often. Another thing which I'd like us to consider is the fact that how we record suicides has changed since 2008. Being a mental health practitioner, unfortunately, I have had to go to a coroner's court on a number of occasions due to a person who I know or have been under my care that has ended up taking their own life. And in the past, it's been very difficult to actually often get a suicide verdict, especially in cases of mental illnesses, but also in the case of people who've been under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And the reason I say that is because what the coroner was looking for is that beyond reasonable doubt that person was wanting to end their own life. So if a person is thought to be under the influence of alcohol or drugs or suffering from a mental health condition, for example, if they're hearing voices telling them to harm themselves, then beyond reasonable doubt is questionable, because that person is not deemed to be in the right mind or have the right capacity to be able to make that decision. However, that law changed last year, and it was actually a balance of probability. So when you're looking at the evidence, what was the probability that that person intended to end their life? So what we might find is that that's causing a number of suicides to be now recorded, whereas in the past they might have not been recorded and it might have come back as an open verdict. And what I've seen over my career as a mental health nurse is that it's actually very difficult to get a suicide verdict. I've been in coroner's courts where it was most definite a suicide, and yet it came back with an open verdict, and that's a lot of influences coming to pout. There's also a lot of families that don't wish for that verdict to be brought upon the family. So that comes around cultural aspects, religious aspects, etc. In addition, what I would say about suicide is that this is just a figure of those people who actually end their own life. There's a considerable amount of people that actually make an attempt on their own life. And having been a mental health nurse and in the NHS for 15 years, predominantly working in crisis teams and within site liaison teams. So I am the person that you might see if you are in crisis or wanting to take your own life. So I'm given the enormous privilege of being able to talk to people when they are in a difficult place. But also I've seen people present in front of me who want to end their life for things that maybe be seen as transient issues or problems where their emotions are overwhelming and it's an impulsive act. And some of those issues can be as simple as their relationship has broken down, or they've lost their job, or they've fallen out with a friend. And for a lot of people, some of those reasons might be not reasons to really end your life. But what I want us to understand is that in the world that we're living in today, often people cannot tolerate things such as that. And that's not just because of the actual incident, it's actually what that incident means to them. And we have a society now where we have this chronic fear of failing, not being enough to somebody, not being lovable enough, and not meeting the standards in which we feel that we should be meeting. And we're living in a world which is becoming more and more intolerant of ourselves and the human condition. We struggle to feel pain. We struggle to feel distress, and unfortunately the reality is that life is full of painful events, full of painful experiences, and we have to be able to develop the skills and enhance our ability to tolerate these emotions without having to have them taken away from us immediately, or having to feel the need to get rid of them. And I think that comes back to what we're interacting with on a day-to-day basis, how we're interpreting the world nowadays. You can go on a suicide awareness course. You can read about suicide, and you'll hear about all of the figures, and you'll hear about all of the signs and the symptoms that people might want to take their life. But often those people who wish to take their life don't really make a big deal about telling people about it, and often those people who are successful, it's an impulsive act. It's not something that they've thought about for weeks on end. It's an impulsive act where they just want to take themselves away from how they're feeling right now. And I think that comes back to something I want to leave you with, which is fundamentally what I feel is the most important thing that we all need to learn on this National Suicide Day, is the ability to show empathy and to be compassionate. And these skills, they don't come easy to everybody, and I understand that. But as a world and as a society and as teams and as communities and as family members and as partners and as husbands and as wives and as children, these skills are the most important skills that you can have. You might feel that being an A-star student in math, or being the most successful salesperson or trader is the key to life, or having the biggest house, or going on the bestest and most expensive holidays so you can take the pictures and you can post them on Instagram. It might be that you get validated by how many followers you have, and those followers will dictate your narrative, etc., etc. But I am telling you, of all the people that I've met, and all of the people that have struggled, and all of the people that are successful, the be-all and end-all that will make you happier in your life and healthier in your life, but also not just you, but everybody else, is your ability to be kind and compassionate with another human being. And we need to get out of our heads. We need to stop looking at material possessions and things that we're getting over the internet that validate us, and start looking at what is in front of our eyes and how can we do better with what's in front of our eyes. And I'm sorry, but it just comes down to kindness and compassion, and just being able to listen and to love each other. And I'm not talking lovey, let's everybody all have a massive orgy. What I'm talking about is just give love over to other people. Don't feel that you're always right, because when it comes down to people ending their life, it's about disconnection. And it's about them feeling they are not connected with the outside world, and there's no point in them being on this earth because there's no one that can help them. And if we all come together and show people that we can help people and we can be there for people, and it's not all about power and it's not all about money, it's about human connection, it's about being there for people, it's about turning up, it's about not texting people, it's about picking up the goddamn phone. It's about getting off your desk and walking to that person and making sure they're all right. It's about not being the grammar police. If people make mistakes and it's not a life or death situation, allow the person to make the mistake. So I got super excited by my ranting. and my passion that I pressed the wrong button. Anyway, so I'm going to end this now by saying, fundamentally, it's National Suicide Awareness Day today. Please take note of the kind of behaviour that we're exhibiting, both at home, both with our friends, both with our family, and in the workplace. Look after one another. That's what we're on this earth to do. We're on this earth to work together and to try and help people live the best life. We are not individual heroes, but we are fundamentally a huge family. So remember that. Enjoy the rest of your day, and be kind, compassionate, be genuine, and be non-judgmental, and just get out of your head.